Idaho Matters podcast is brought to you by St. Luke's On-Demand Virtual Care, which allows patients to see a provider from their home using a computer or smartphone with on-demand care for common ailments such as a cough, sore throat, or a sinus issue. More information at stlukesonline.org.
We are facing the most serious threat to public media in history. Right now, the White House is trying to rescind already approved funding for the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, money that keeps stations like ours running. Without it, essential local journalism, trusted reporting, and podcasts like this are all at risk. If you value public media, speak up now. Visit boisestatepublicradio.org/funding to learn more and take action.
More Idaho Matters right now from the studios of Boise State Public Radio News. I'm Gemma Gaudet. Since 1988, the Idaho Community Foundation has invested $200 million to local communities. And this summer, it's putting the power of giving into your hands. 4 Idahoans will each get the chance to award a $5,000 grant to a local nonprofit in their area. This is all happening through the foundation's $200 million Moment, Make More Good Possible campaign. So joining us now to talk more about this is Vice President of Impact and Idaho Nonprofit Center, Kevin Bailey. Kevin, nice to have you on the program.
Thanks for having me, Gemma.
So Kevin, let's begin with this. Can you give us a little bit of background on what the Idaho Community Foundation is?
Yeah, so the Community Foundation really is, we're all about strengthening local communities through philanthropy, through elevating nonprofit impact. And so if you think about what makes communities thrive, it's those nonprofits that help deliver meals to seniors who are homebound, who bring us great cultural and art and museum experiences, who take care of our open spaces, our trails, who shelter the homeless. Nonprofits do all of that in Idaho. We like to say Idaho runs on nonprofits, and philanthropy is a vehicle to connect folks who want to do good in their communities to those causes to help their communities be strengthened. And the Idaho Community Foundation is essentially, since 1988, as you mentioned, has been making grants, and this summer we'll hit the $200 million that's been granted out in Idaho to those kinds of causes. And we connect folks with those opportunities to give back to what matters most to them.
So the foundation recently had a major milestone of $200 million granted to communities since 1998 or since 1988?
1988, yeah.
Okay, so since 88. So Kevin, what kind of impact has this money had truly on the lives of Idahoans? I mean, you just mentioned, all of these things where that money goes to, but I mean, what are you seeing in how it truly impacts people's lives?
Yeah, I mean, those dollars are translated directly into meals that put food on the tables of families who are struggling to make ends meet. It goes into grants that help with eviction prevention. It goes to a new roof on a museum in a rural area. There's just a multitude of ways that the Idaho Community Foundation and the grant making that's done through the Community Foundation impact communities in all counties across Idaho. And it can be in big ways and small ways. Sometimes it's a refrigerator for a kitchen at a domestic violence shelter in Bingham County. It really truly is all of the things that make nonprofits go and that make communities go. Whether again, social services, arts, access to open spaces, you name it.
So looking back at almost 4 decades of donations, is there a particular story of impact, Kevin, that stands out to you?
Yeah, I mean, I've been involved in this work specifically from the Idaho Nonprofit Center lens over the last 4 years, leading that organization. Last November, we merged with the Idaho Community Foundation. Really, the gist behind that was to really pair, this idea that giving, that supporting nonprofit capacity building and grant making were two sides of the same coin. So I think back just recently to the impact that we had during Idaho Gives, where we set a record in our 13 years of doing Idaho Gives that $5.15 million was raised for over 620 nonprofits. Almost 14,000 Idahoans participated in giving to nonprofits during Idaho Gives. And so to me, it's not just about one story, but it's about all of those different stories, the 13,000 plus Idahoans who showed up and said, these causes matter to me in my community, and I care about making my community the best place it can possibly be. That's what really inspires me and kind of keeps me and my team going is that we get to be a part of someone's philanthropic journey. And I think that's what the $200 million moment is all about. It's
Hmm.
about connecting Idahoans to an opportunity to improve their own communities, and then instilling this culture of giving. And giving could be time, talent, or treasure, but we really, absolutely need the engagement of Idahoans to help make their communities as strong as possible. And this is one way to do that.
So let's talk about the fiscal impact and what you are doing in regards to that. So this $200 million milestone, you're going to celebrate this by giving Idahoans the chance to really share the love, right, through the Make More Good Possible campaign. And as I mentioned in the beginning of our conversation, Kevin, this is where 4 people will personally get to choose which nonprofit to give a grant to. And we're talking a $5,000 grant, so not insignificant. Can you walk us through how this campaign works?
Yeah, so on our website, idahocf.org, you can sign up and it's free to participate. You just add a little bit of contact info now through July 30th. Idahoans ages 18 plus can then enter to be to have a chance to give out that $5,000 grant in their region. So we divide the state into 4 regions: north, southwest, south central, and east. We'll have at least $5,000 to grant in each of those locations. We also have an opportunity for folks to go onto our website and add to the grant pool, and so they can make a donation, a contribution to any region they would like, and that will get added to
Hmm.
the total that will be granted out. But really, I mean, more than anything, this is just a way to kind of democratize philanthropy. We want Idahoans to know about the good work that nonprofits are doing all across the state, from the big to the small, right? We have all volunteer organizations doing amazing work. We also have large organizations doing critical and essential work in our communities. And it's really important that Idahoans know where they can turn to support those groups, how they can get involved in their community, and this is really one way to do that. So again, at idahocf.org, it's free to sign up and enter your name into being one of the folks that might draw the winner now through July
So,
30th.
so Kevin, will you then choose, since you're giving 4 people the opportunity to do this, will you choose a person from each of those 4 regions?
That's right. Yep, exactly.
Okay. So then explain this to me again, because I'm not quite sure how this part works. You said people can add to the pot. So right
Yes,
now, it's $5,000 per region that someone will be able to give out. But if I want to go onto your website and say, well, I want to give, $100 to the Southwest region, and I put that in there, then all of a sudden, what would maybe go to that region would be $5,100.
that's exactly right. Yep. So Idahoans have a chance to add to that pot, to add to that pool. Those dollars will go directly back into that region's total grant making as part of this 200 millionth moment.
And then whomever that person is chosen will decide where that pot of money goes.
That's right. Yep. And we have a list of what we're calling promising nonprofits. And really, what we mean by that is these are nonprofits that are between a budget size of 200,000 up to 5 million in annual operating budget. So that captures a good chunk of most communities' nonprofit. But we wanted to put some parameters around that. And then they're
Mhm.
meeting a critical need in their community, serving an under-resourced need, that kind of thing. And it's a pretty broad category. So, there are many, many nonprofits in each community that could qualify under promising nonprofits, but we did want to put some budget parameters around that to kind of give some guidance because narrowing down that list is going to be a tough job.
I think it's fair to say that we would not be the community or the state that we are without nonprofits. I mean, they really do drive so much of what we see and do here in Idaho, as you mentioned, Kevin, right? Things like putting food on the table for people, but all the way to the arts, right? I mean, we are all impacted by nonprofits. However, there are some really big challenges that face local nonprofits. And I'm curious about how your foundation works to address those issues.
Yeah, and it kind of speaks to one of the reasons why we went through with this merger over the last year is really, pairing financial support and grant making with support beyond the check. And the Idaho Nonprofit Center, which has been around for over 20 years, has been a real leader in the state around providing advocacy for nonprofits, following, all the different legislative updates, providing training on that, providing training on critical operational things like board governance, fundraising, nonprofit leadership, nonprofit finance. And so when you put the two together, we know that nonprofits need, the top two needs are access to more dollars to do their mission
Hmm.
and access to high quality training and development of their people. And so putting those two things under one roof as part of this merger and part of what now is part of the full Idaho Community Foundation mission is really exciting for us, especially in this challenging time when our phones are ringing more than ever as nonprofits feel really strapped. It's really fun that even though this is a small way to give back to the community, I think the 200 millionth moment hopefully inspires people to dive in and give even more to the causes they care about, because nonprofits right now really need that, as a lot of really essential programs are on the chopping block. And I'm sure most folks have followed a lot of that in the news cycle, but
Hmm.
we really want to be a leader in the state and helping elevate this culture of philanthropy, making sure that Idahoans who have been here for maybe only 3 years or 30 years or multiple generations, that they keep engaged in what drives our communities, and that has been at the core, groups of nonprofits and associations of people who get stuff done together.
What do you hope the broader impact of this campaign will be, Kevin?
Yeah, I think it speaks to what I was saying around elevating this
Hmm.
culture of philanthropy in Idaho. We know that philanthropy by itself cannot make up the full gap around what is needed to fully fund, all of the important programs, services, theaters, all of those things that happen in our communities. But it certainly is a huge part of it. And we also know that nationally, and would be true of Idaho as well, giving rates of participating in philanthropy are declining, and that's a very worrying trend. And so what we're trying to do is really get in front of that and really share with Idahoans that if we value this place where we live, we work, we play, we need to invest in it, and we can only have nice things if we invest in those things, and nonprofits are an absolutely crucial part of that.
Well, what's next for the Idaho Community Foundation?
We are going to keep plugging away at this message that both that Idaho runs on nonprofits, but also that we want nonprofits and people that care about the state, philanthropists, people who have a desire to contribute back to their communities, that they know where they can contribute, that they know how to find the causes they care about, that they know they can partner with the Idaho Community Foundation to make those philanthropic goals a reality, whether that's a multi-generational plan for giving, whether it's a one-time thing. We're here to be a partner for that, and we cover the whole state. We get put a lot of miles on the car going around the state. We have staff across the state, so we're really here to be partners for folks who want to make a difference in their community.
Well, I want to thank you so much for taking time to speak with us. We've been talking with Kevin Bailey from the Idaho Community Foundation. Their $200 million moment Make More Good Possible campaign is happening now. You can find the link to enter at our website, boisestatepublicradio.org. This is the Idaho Matters podcast. I'm Gemma Gaudette.
Planet Money helps you understand the economy. We find the people at the center of the story.
Garbage in New York, that was like a controlled substance.
We show you how money influences everything.
Tell me what you like by telling me how you spend your money.
And we dig until we get answers.
I had a bad feeling you were going to bring that up.
Planet Money finds out. All you have to do is listen. The Planet Money podcast from NPR.